I think this episode will best be summarized by Dan's shirt. Less of a pity party, more of a soiree of frustration. And that really encapsulates what this episode's going to be about. Yeah. It's an area that I've been trying to learn more about. And that area is universal design. And so we're going to talk about why people should actually give a crap about it. It's been around for decades, but it seems to not get traction.
Not just about the ADA.
For sure. It definitely isn't just about the Americans with Disabilities Act.
People think that was what else they mean.
What is universal design? What is it? Like there's lots of confusion. So we're going to dispel the confusion and give you a definition and a clear understanding so that perhaps you too will start to become a adopter, a supporter, someone who just gets it and finally understands that this isn't just for a select group of people. This is really and was always meant for as many people as possible. So let's get to the definition. Universal design was first coined by an architect named Ronald Mace. They called him Ron Mace. And he was from the North Carolina State University. And he actually grew up with polio. This was back, probably 50s when he was born. Probably even earlier than that. Sorry, I'm not remembering. And he encountered a ton of barriers, structural barriers, to the school that he went to the home in which he lived, and he wanted to do something about it. And he became an architect, and he came up with this term. And the definition that he gave, and back in 1985, so we're still it still hasn't caught on, and it's 2022. But anyway, I digress. In 1985, he said, universal design is design that's usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. And I think the key phrase here is to the greatest extent possible. Usable by all people to the greatest extent possible, because we recognize, and I think anyone who understands the spectrum of the human experience can see that not every space is going to be perfect for everyone. But the concept behind, or the intent behind universal design is that we're striving towards as many people as possible. And those people are average people with or without disabilities, people who are aging and are getting older, and their body function has altered. It's for them too. There are actually 7 principles of universal design. And perhaps this is the reason why it hasn't taken off so much. Maybe people don't really understand how they apply and why they're important. So let's get into them. So the first principle is equitable reuse. So here we're talking about people of many different abilities can use the space and the thing Principle 2 is flexibility in use. That means that the thing or the space can be used by people with different preferences, again, or abilities. Principle 3, simple and intuitive use. You don't need a master's degree to actually use the thing or the space. Principle 4, perceptible information. So the design communicates necessary information effectively to the user, regardless of what sort of conditions are in the environment or the people's sensory abilities. Principle 5, tolerance for error. So if you don't exactly know yet how to use something from Principle 3, and maybe it's not as intuitive, or you just simply made a mistake, there are ways to correct that mistake. Principle 6, low physical effort. So here, when we have automatic doors, when we go to the grocery store, you step close to them and they automatically open. You don't need to do anything. That's an example, and a wonderful one, by the way, of low physical effort. And finally, Principle 7, size and space for approach and use. So this would accommodate a variety of sizes of people and their equipment. It's for the young, it's for the old, it's for the in-between. It's really meant for everyone, and it makes a ton of sense. Because when we think about how our residences, think about your own home. Think about your family's homes. What do you see? What do you see, Dan? You've grown up in conventional architecture, and so have I. What have you encountered?
No, right.
Because there are
Stairs.
yeah, tons of stairs to typically get in and out of a home. Oftentimes there are stairs in between to get up and down different levels of a house. And I get it, stairs can make a lot of sense in a space that doesn't have or land that there isn't a lot. So you build up and you can fit more people. What else have you encountered in your house?
Beds, right? Where I couldn't get my wheelchair in.
And then what about, did you have grab bars growing up before your accident?
No.
Yeah, it's not commonplace, even though people slip in a shower all the time. It's a very common. Did you watch that episode of The Big Bang Theory when Penny slips in the shower and she dislocates her shoulder? Well, they had grab bars. Maybe she didn't have to go to the hospital with Sheldon. Just saying. The other thing that I remember growing up were very narrow hallways. You forgot something and you have to go back. At least when as a wheelchair user, I would have to go and either go all the way through the hallway, then turn around, or back up because there wasn't enough space to make the rotation. What I think is a very common tripping hazard are the threshold strips that exist. I mean, why do we have them? I know it's to transition from different flooring, but it makes a lot of sense to have no threshold, zero threshold, so that way there's an easy transition. How can your home be more inviting and inclusive to other people besides you and your immediate family or whomever is living in that space? That is something I hope that more people realize about universal design. It really is inclusive design. It's trying to get more people and their experiences using a space to be included in what that space looks like, how that space is designed. And there are a number of individuals and organizations that have tried and are still trying to push the dial. If you think about that added layer of a home that would need these features, grab bars, wider doorways, no stairs, or adaptive equipment in the house with the stairs, such as stair lifts or elevators, you're down to like nearly zero options for those folks. Other terms for universal design, because there have been many: adapted, adaptable design, aging in place, human-centered design is another one, and inclusive design, which I do like that word.
And work on they are getting me understand when the rally
Oh yeah?
so I can get on a platform easily.
More easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example of a design, or just a slight design tweak to include more people. Someone like Dan, who has balance issues. It's an imperative for people, not just who are affected by the lack of universal design, but people of society who have their own homes, to become curious and to actually give a crap about this, and to start seeing how they can include it. How can you include it in your life in some way? So
Yeah, because one day you go be like me in a tragic accident.
yeah, it's kind of like what we talk about a lot, and that is, you can't think that these things don't happen to you. I mean, even just aging is going to happen to you. Stairs will become more difficult. There are more slips and falls when you get older. If your space is ready for it, then you can accept these changes in aging as you age with less dread and struggle and suffering. There are so many resources. I'll mention 3. They're wonderful and they're doing great work. The first one that I'll mention is the Universal Design Project. That's co-led by Scott and Sarah Pruitt, a husband and wife team who are amazing. And then there is the Universal Design Living Laboratory, which is also a husband and wife effort. And it's literally a house that is in Ohio, I think it's Columbus, where she and her husband have figured out a way to build this house completely using universal design principles and showcase it to anyone that was willing to go to Columbus, Ohio and visit her house and see these principles in practice at work and share, of course, the knowledge and spread that. And then the third person is a Canadian, Julie Salchuk, who has her own YouTube channel, and she was in an accident, as well as the prior lady was also in an accident. But she is a consultant, universal design consultant, and she was also fortunate to build her own universally designed home right outside of Toronto. It's a very slow-moving effort, and we need more people to give a crap. So we hope that this pushes you or motivates you, and you found this informative. Until next time.
Hey.
Keep it catchy.